Have you ever felt like, I don't know, a puzzle piece dropped into the wrong box?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe there's this quiet knowing, like humming beneath the surface of your everyday life. A wisdom that feels ancient, almost pre-wired.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, if you ever felt out of place or maybe misunderstood, or like your heart just sees truths others seem to miss, then you might be feeling echoes of something pretty profound.
Right.
So today we're taking a deep dive into this whole concept of old souls. We're going to unpack its surprising true definition, look at the subtle, often kind of hidden signs that might reveal this ancient essence within you, and frankly, talk about the unique challenges, because they can be incredibly heavy, right? Carrying that depth.
Absolutely. It's not always easy.
Our mission here is really to distill the core wisdom from our source material, help you understand what an old soul truly is, and maybe more importantly, why understanding that actually matters for your own journey.
That's exactly it. Our aim for this deep dive is to move past the common ideas, the sometimes superficial stuff you hear about old souls.
Right.
We really want to reveal the profound depths, those subtle energetic signatures, and the ancient wisdom that our source material describes. Give you a clearer lens, maybe, to understand yourself or perhaps people around you who carry this unique essence.
Okay, let's unpack this then. When we talk about an old soul, we're not just describing someone who prefers quiet evenings with a book or feels a bit different.
No, that's key.
Our source material is really clear. These things are just shadows cast by a far greater light.
Yeah.
So if it's not simply a personality type, what is the true definition?
Well, what's really fascinating is that the definition, it goes way beyond just one lifetime. An old soul, really, at its core, is a consciousness that has journeyed through, many lifetimes across realms, both physical and non-physical.
Oh, okay. Many lifetimes.
Think of it like an incredibly long evolutionary path. Wisdom isn't just learned intellect, it's profoundly distilled through both pain and joy.
Distilled. I like that word.
Yeah, the essence isn't just about accumulated years. It's about a remarkable depth of perception, a kind of vibration of remembrance, and an unshakable connection to truth. It's less about how many lives and more about what's been gathered along the way.
And where does a journey like that even begin? The material traces the origin back to what a lot of mystic traditions call the first flame, or maybe the primordial wave of consciousness. It's described almost poetically as the breath before breath, or awareness that existed before form took shape. It's like the very first ripple in an infinite cosmic pond.
Exactly. Before anything solid even existed. It's an incredible image.
It really is.
And if we connect that to the bigger picture, old souls are often seen as fragments, pieces of that original divine light.
Fragments of light.
And they chose to incarnate repeatedly, not just once or twice, but over and over again, often with a specific purpose to assist, to anchor light, or maybe to balance energies that would otherwise become destabilized.
So they're not just ancient travelers, they're almost like ancient stewards of consciousness.
That's a good way to think about it. Moving through timelines, planetary systems, different states of being, they collect wisdom, but it's not for personal gain, not for ego. It's for the refinement of universal harmony. It's a deep commitment to the collective.
Okay, so if this deep wisdom and ancient purpose are woven into their very being, how does that actually show up in everyday life? What are the subtle clues, the whispers from another time that might reveal an old soul? Let's dig into some of those signs.
Right. One of the most profound and I think common experiences is this feeling of non-belonging.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not just simple social awkwardness. It's described as a profound spiritual displacement. Earth, for them, can often feel strange, heavy, and distorted.
That sounds incredibly isolating. Is it because they're looking down on things, or is there a deeper reason?
Oh, not at all looking down. It's more that their soul memory, it stretches back to civilizations, dimensions maybe, where reality was shaped very differently. So they experience this deep homesickness for a place they cannot name. And the source points out it's usually not a physical place they're missing.
So what is it then?
It's more a state of being, a resonance of unity and peace that just feels absent in much of modern earthly life. But what's fascinating is that this disconnection, while it's challenging, it's not seen as a curse. It's described as part of their sacred architecture.
Sacred architecture, like an internal design feature.
Exactly. Something that pushes them inward into meditation, contemplation, and spiritual inquiry. It acts as a catalyst, really, for their spiritual growth.
That makes so much sense. It's like their inner compass is just pointing to a different North Star all the time. And speaking of journeys, their evolution isn't like a straight line, step by step. Our material talks about their progress as more of a spiral-like motion.
Yes, moving through cycles of deep forgetting and profound remembering. Their evolution isn't just in steps, it's in revelations, big shifts.
Revelations.
Indeed. And this often leads to something termed multi-incarnational memory bleeding.
Okay, what does that mean?
It's not about intellectually recalling specific past lives like in a movie. It's more a subtle but powerful awareness, felt as emotional or energetic imprints.
So like that weirdly deep familiarity you might feel walking into a new city you've never actually visited.
Precisely. Or a strong, immediate reaction, positive or negative, to certain cultures, languages, or even time periods.
Those aren't just random preferences then, are they? The source says they're echoes of former embodiment rising to the surface.
Exactly. And this memory bleeding, it carries a quality of weight and depth that fantasy cannot imitate. It feels alive, like a truth that was merely buried, not something you just made up.
Yeah. Maybe you, listening, have had a moment like that, where you just knew something you couldn't possibly have known, and it felt visceral, like a memory.
Another powerful sign, and one that's often misunderstood, is their slower, more timeless internal clock.
Ah, yes, the different rhythm.
Right. While our modern culture just pushes speed, achievement, productivity, relentless pressure, old souls often intuitively resist this.
They just can't sync up with it.
Their rhythm follows a more ancient beat. It's like they're tuned to the pulse of the earth, maybe, or the patterns of the stars, rather than the frenetic pace of society.
This sounds like it could definitely lead to some friction in the world. I imagine they might get labeled lazy, aloof, or even stubborn sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
But if I'm getting this right, it's not defiance for defiance's sake. It's something deeper, like integrity.
That's exactly it. The material explains they are often unwilling to participate in systems that do not honor the sacred. It's less a conscious choice to rebel and more a quiet rebellion, almost inherent, a refusal to betray their inner compass. It's a mark of inner integrity that's been shaped across many, many lifetimes.
Wow.
What this really shows is that an old soul's inherent rhythm, their core values, often put them in this quiet, almost radical opposition to modern norm. Not out of spite, but just out of this ancient, intuitive integrity.
I see. It makes sense that such a profound inner life, tuned differently, could also come with its own unique challenges. And one of the most common, our source points out, is an unshakable spiritual fatigue.
Yes, this one is significant.
And this isn't just being tired from working too hard or not sleeping enough.
No, it's described as a deep weariness that seems to rest in the bones of the being.
In the bone.
This subtle heaviness can be felt even in moments of joy. An old soul might experience this silent exhaustion as if they have seen too much, known too much, lived through cycles far longer than this lifetime allowed.
That's heavy.
And the material highlights that medical tests often show nothing. Conventional therapy doesn't really touch it either. It's connected to the weight of long memory, the residue of countless lifetimes, loving, losing, building, witnessing collapse, rising again, and then choosing to come back when they no longer need.
That's a powerful and kind of heartbreaking thought. Returning when they no longer needed to.
Yeah.
Wow. Does this deep memory sometimes blur the lines of their current reality too?
It absolutely can. Old souls often experience something called dimensional bleed-through.
Okay.
Which results in this curious confusion sometimes regarding time and space. They might be standing in a modern room and suddenly feel like they're in another era.
Really?
Or they might speak words they've never studied in languages they don't know, remember things they were never told, recognize strangers they've never met before, or feel this deep mourning for places they've never actually been.
It's like like the veil between lifetimes just thins for a moment, and memories leak through.
Exactly, or like consciousness is layered, and for a few seconds, two or more of these layers become visible at once.
That sounds incredibly disorienting, but also kind of amazing in a way.
It is, both. And linked to this deeper perception is something called empathic discernment.
Okay, how is that different from regular empathy?
Well, ordinary empathy often just feels the emotions of others. This discernment is more like a refined spiritual radar. It penetrates through to intention and frequency.
So they can sense the energy behind the words.
Precisely. An old soul can often sense when someone is lying because the energy does not match the word. They might even feel physical discomfort around deception, even without any logical proof.
Wow.
They're rarely fooled by surface charm or title, and they often feel really drained after being around people who wear heavy masks.
That makes sense.
And this discernment isn't something they learned in this life. It's remembered. Remembered from lifetimes of reading energy in realms where words did not exist.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting and maybe a bit frustrating for the old soul themselves. Inverse manifestation.
Ah, yes, this one trips people up.
Many old souls actually struggle with the popular modern idea of manifestation, right? Like ask and you shall receive.
They really do. While they might consciously desire, say, abundance or love or recognition, they often find that what they actually receive is not what they consciously asked for, but what their soul actually needs for growth.
So the universe gives them homework instead of reward.
Kind of. The material explains they frequently receive less comfort, more challenge. Not as punishment, though, but as preparation. Their life path seems guided less by the ego's wants and more by a higher spiritual contract, maybe a preset course of soul refinement.
A higher contract.
So while others might manifest, wealth or status easily, the old soul might find they attract initiation. Difficult, yes, but sacred trials that ultimately awaken deeper mastery.
That's a fascinating concept, getting what the soul needs, not what the ego wants. But, for someone grappling with real-world struggles, maybe financial hardship or loneliness, how does this inverse manifestation sit with practical need or just the desire for some comfort? Does the source touch on that tension?
It absolutely acknowledges that this is the burden, that tension is inherent, it's part of the growth process. It implies that true comfort or maybe fulfillment for an old soul often comes from aligning with that deeper soul purpose, even if it means navigating those material challenges. The initiation is seen as preparing them for an even grander form of service or awareness down the line.
Okay.
Which ultimately brings a different kind of fulfillment. It's really about a different metric for success, not the world's metric.
That adds a whole new layer. Got it.
Yeah.
Some of these signs can even show up incredibly early in what the source calls crystallized childhood.
Yes, many are recognizable right from the start.
They often appear wise beyond their years, almost like they're carrying this inner elder inside them from day one.
The parents might describe these kids as little monks, tiny philosophers, or born serious.
Yeah.
These children might instinctively avoid noisy, chaotic play. They might ask deep spiritual questions before they even fully grasp language, or show this profound, unlearned compassion to animals, strangers. It's this deep, inexplicable instinct.
So it's not just about being smart or mature for their age.
No, it's more like they're carrying preloaded soul wisdom, encoded into their consciousness long before birth. Their eyes often give it away too, described as having a steady knowing gaze that seems far older than the body that houses it.
Wow. It's like they're born with an ancient operating system already installed.
That's a good analogy. And while it grants them wisdom, it can also make navigating a world built on a completely different system quite challenging.
I can imagine. Another powerful trait mentioned is a sensitivity to harmonic field, like vibrations, tones, frequencies, certain forms of light.
Yes, very attuned. Old souls can be unusually affected by ancient music, chanting, or natural sounds. Wind, birdsong, running water. These frequencies can literally awaken something deep inside them, sometimes triggering sudden, strong emotions or even visionary states.
And the flip side.
Conversely, artificial sounds, loud mechanical noises, sirens, aggressive music, these can feel almost intolerable.
So it's more than just a preference, like not liking lead.
Much more. It's because, as the source suggests, the old soul's energetic blueprint is calibrated to natural cosmic resonance.
Calibrated. Interesting.
So what this means is, for an old soul, walking through a quiet forest and hearing the wind isn't just pleasant. It can feel like profound recognition, like a piece of their own internal music being played back to them. Whereas constant city noise, electronic hums, they can feel truly jarring to their entire. Certain vibrations activate cellular memories, stirring deep awareness that bypasses language altogether.
Okay. And finally, for the signs, there's this sacred indifference to ego games.
Right. Often misjudged.
People might see them as passive or unambitious because they're just largely uninterested in power struggles, fame, or social validation.
Exactly. They might quickly lose interest in competition, social comparison, or self-promotion, things that drive much of society.
But it's not laziness or giving up.
No, not at all. It is, as the source describes it, sacred indifference. They've played these games before, in other lifetimes perhaps, and now they carry the quiet wisdom that none of these pursuits offer real peace. True lasting peace, anyway.
So where does their strength lie then?
Their strength is often found in silence, presence, and authenticity. And their joy often comes from helping others grow rather than seeking reward or control for themselves. Their very essence, born from that ancient integrity we talked about, simply finds no resonance with all those external pursuits.
So being an old soul, as our source really reminds us, isn't just about wisdom or having lived many lives. It's also about carrying a sacred burden.
A weight.
A weight that presses not just on the heart, but on the very fabric of one's being, often invisible to the outside world. Perhaps the most universal burden is the burden of knowing.
Yes.
And this isn't intellectual knowledge, is it? It's more an inner certainty, a deep knowing that life is more than appearances, that suffering has purpose, that love transcends time.
That deep awareness, though, often comes hand in hand with a kind of spiritual loneliness.
Ah, yes, the pain.
The pain of seeing through the illusion while still having to live within it. The old soul might find it really hard to connect deeply with others who are still enchanted by the surface.
So you could feel utterly alone, even in a room full of people.
Exactly.
And that loneliness is often amplified by what the material calls cosmic grief.
Cosmic grief.
Which is described as a mourning not for one's personal past, but for the suffering of all beings across time. Old souls sometimes feel this grief without knowing why. They might just start crying for no apparent reason, or feel this profound sorrow even when looking at something beautiful, like a tree or a child's face, or just feel the immense weight of a world that, as the source puts it, does not yet know itself.
This isn't emotional instability, then. It sounds incredibly profound.
No, the source is clear. It's the soul's ancient empathy, responding to the unresolved pain of humanity, of existence itself.
It's a very deep feeling. Medical explanations often miss it entirely. Does the source offer any insight into how old souls might process that, or even transmute that deep collective sorrow so it doesn't become, paralyzing?
That's a great question. The text suggests that while it's often a constant companion, this grief is also a powerful wellspring for compassion and for service.
Ah, okay.
It actually drives them to seek out ways to alleviate suffering, even in small, quiet ways. It often gets transmuted through things like creative expression or deep contemplation, or simply by holding space for others who are suffering because they understand that pain on such a universal level.
So it's a burden, but also a catalyst for deep love and action.
Exactly, a catalyst.
That makes perfect sense. Another profound challenge mentioned is cycle fatigue syndrome.
Cycle fatigue.
It's described as a deep spiritual weariness with the cycles of birth, growth, death, and return. Essentially, the exhaustion of the eternal traveler who has walked the spiral of reincarnation too many times.
Wow. And this can show up early.
It can appear as early as age 7 or 8, believe it or not, or it might surface later in adulthood, often accompanied by this inner whisper of again.
That not again sounds incredibly heavy. So just to be clear, this isn't depression in the clinical sense or suicidal thinking. It's something else, existential.
Exactly. The source emphasizes this fatigue is existential, not typically suicidal in nature. It often comes from a feeling of having completed the curriculum, so to speak, yet returning anyway, perhaps out of service or contract. Such souls might secretly, deeply question why they came back, feeling like they've already learned the essential lesson. The challenge then becomes how to embody peace without escape, how to remain fully in the body and transmute that deep tiredness into wisdom, into presence, into healing for others, remembering they are here by choice, ultimately, for a greater purpose.
It also means they can run into conflict with false light teachers and New Age glamour.
Right, because they're natural truth seekers.
They're often drawn to spiritual paths early on, but this can lead them straight into the arms of false light teachers. Individuals or systems that are really rooted in ego manipulation, even if they look shiny. How can they tell the difference? How do they discern?
Well, the disillusionment that often follows those encounters isn't seen as a failure. It's actually part of their discernment initiation.
Ah, an initiation.
Their soul is learning, maybe remembering, to detect frequency over form, to trust vibration over words. They also tend to struggle with what the source calls New Age glamour, the tendency for modern spirituality to become commercialized, shallow, sometimes ego-driven.
Right, the quick fixes, bypassing the hard stuff.
Exactly. They might feel really alienated in environments that promise instant enlightenment or gloss over suffering. The old soul isn't looking for spectacle. They seek depth, and that search often leads them onto a more solitary path where they can find more authentic, grounded wisdom.
And finally, the source points out that old souls are often born into misunderstanding or rejection.
And crucially, it emphasizes this is not accidental. The soul actually chooses these challenging environments, often for contrast and refinement.
Contrast and refinement. How does that work?
By being placed in a setting where their true nature isn't mirrored or understood, they're essentially forced to self-validate, to anchor their truth from within, rather than constantly seeking reflection or approval from others.
So the difficulty builds inner strength.
Precisely. The old soul child might be labeled too sensitive, too serious, or too strange. They might feel profoundly like they were adopted into the wrong family, or just born into a world that fundamentally does not speak their language.
That sounds heartbreaking for a child.
It can be incredibly difficult, yet the source frames frames this outsider role as part of their initiation. They are not meant to fit in the conventional sense. They're here to hold the frequency of what has been forgotten. And navigating that misunderstanding becomes a powerful path toward profound self-acceptance and unshakable inner strength.
What a profound journey we've just taken, really digging into this concept of the old soul, its unique characteristic, and those hidden sacred burdens it carries.
It's a lot to take in.
It really is. Our source material strongly emphasizes that being an old soul means living in two worlds simultaneously, bearing a sacred weight, yes, but also embodying an ancient wisdom that feels deeply needed in our world right now.
Indeed. I think this deep dive offers a really powerful new lens, a way to understand oneself, maybe, or others around us, acknowledging these experiences not as flaws or oddities, but as echoes of a far grander, purposeful journey.
So here's a final thought for you to ponder. What if those inexplicable feelings you've had maybe of not belonging, or that subtle, unshakable weariness, what if they aren't personal flaws at all? What if they're echoes of a grand, ancient journey your soul has undertaken? Perhaps for universal harmony. How might understanding that change your perspective on your life's challenges, your deepest desires, and maybe even your most profound moments of joy?
It's a powerful question to sit with.
We hope this deep dive resonates with your own experiences, maybe sparks some recognition, and leads you toward a deeper understanding of yourself and your unique place in the world.